What's up, beautiful people? I'm Nathaniel Pearl,
And I'm Sammy Sheva.
and welcome to Curious Chimps Podcast, a show where we explore the infinite complexities of the human experience.
We do not endorse anything illegal, so please consult doctors, do your research, and for the love of all that is holy, be safe. All right, let's talk about drugs.
Curious Chimps.
I hate these glasses I'm wearing. I broke my glasses, so I'm wearing these ones for now.
They're fresh, bro.
I don't know about fresh, but they're something.
I like it when they're small, but I don't like when they're too big, you know? Those are sick.
Mine are kind of like his. I'm going to get them in a couple weeks.
I've tried every type.
Those are
man.
sick, bro. Those are sick.
Yeah.
I got the most compliments with these ones, but I always prefer the small ones. But then I was like, I can't see. Like I know there's like a focal point, sort of. So the prescription's like a lot weaker or like less effective.
Yeah.
But like it was nice to have a bigger lens.
I feel
Move
like
my neck less.
I feel like you get more peripheral. Like these, I actually kind of have to turn my head
Of
more.
course, bro. Of course.
You know?
Yeah.
Of course.
And it just, I'm not used to that adjustment because usually I could see everywhere.
That's why I said they look
Yeah.
like reading glasses
Yeah.
when I came in. I hope we cut right on you. I hope we can get it. So like as soon as you say, "Man, I hate these glasses," that's when we start. Like that.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
This is how it goes. There's no structure. We just go into it
Okay, yeah.
and just have fun with the conversation.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right.
So it's good to see you, Mr. Phil.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming. If you want to just maybe give an introduction to our audience, who you are and just what you do, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I'm Phil, aka PG.coaching on Instagram, on IG, on YouTube.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's still early in the morning, but yeah, I'm basically a personal trainer from Montreal, / entrepreneur. So I got my business running online. I train people offline, like one-on-one,
Nice.
and that's pretty much it.
And so I've known you for years back in high school, and I remember you were like this small. You were in a few grades younger than me, but you were like this small kid, and then you just kind of grew into this big bodybuilder, like power strength training guy, and it's just been really amazing to see that transformation. That you went from like not like a small kid, but like from your transition, I got to kind of see it. It was kind of cool, and it's kind of inspiring to see too, man.
I always forgot we went to the same school, but
Yeah.
you were like 1 or 2 grades older.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's so cool when you see someone's progression in life and whatever they're doing. Not necessarily everyone has to be bigger and stronger, but to see from my memory of when I first seen you to now, it's pretty cool, man. So
Yeah, I appreciate
good
that.
work, man. Whatever the fuck you're doing, it's working.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm a very like visual person, so I like to see with the progress.
Yeah.
I'm learning that about myself. Like I fight that. I'm like I stopped working out the last few months and I lost it a lot. And I'm just like, yo, I care about that. I want to look jacked. I just admitted it. I'm like, fuck it. Fuck the vanity. Fuck the like the self-hating voice. I'm just like, I want to look jacked, man. It makes me feel good. And obviously you feel good because you're like,
Yeah.
you can do, you know, you're just like,
100%. And like,
you look like you can bust through a wall, bro.
But that's just one side of it, you know. It doesn't mean that because you look a certain way that like you. A lot of people are compensating, man.
That's
because
true.
they know that they don't have the charisma, they don't have the attitude, they're just not.
That's my fear, man.
So then
It's
they
a
compensate on the
crutch.
outside.
Yeah.
So I feel like and what I'm trying to talk about on my channel too is you want to have the whole package.
yeah. That's a big thing for training is a lot of people go with one objective and they go so hard. I got to be bigger. I got to be this.
Right.
And they're missing all these avenues of just like the benefits that come from that. They're just focused on just the look.
Right.
And that kind of, you get to your destination, it's never good enough. I got to get here, you know? It's like you'll never be satisfied if you go down just one route. It's nice to have like a few avenues, like you feel good, you feel healthier, everything is kind of working as unison,
Right.
you know?
But a lot of times that happens because people focus on numbers.
Yeah.
And I love numbers, don't get me wrong, because it's a great way to track progress.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about, you know, body weight, body fat, weight on the bar, calories, like these are variables that you can manipulate and you can really like set goals, set deadlines.
Yeah, you know, I used to be very strict in my mind on like, okay, I got to be this kind of weight because in fighting we'd have to cut weight at a specific. You have to be in a specific category, and then I stumbled across yoga like 6 years ago, and then just the hippie took over. I'm like, fuck it, however I feel is how I want to be, you know.
Yeah, but when you obsess over numbers, like
Yeah.
it has pros and cons, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man.
But also like regarding what you just said, like when you're trying to get really good at something, like something else has to give. You know, there's only 24 hours in the day, so you're gonna become handicapped in other areas.
That's for
if
sure.
you're really focused on like
Yeah.
specificity of one thing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because then you're also jack of all trades, and now you're like you're okay at everything. You know.
Yeah. It all depends on your initial goal. Like when I first started training, I was like, when I started martial arts, my objective was to fight. I wanted to fight and do a mixed martial arts fight. And I remember my goal was never nothing more than one fight. It was just, I want to fight. So I was setting up, I was training hard. I had that one fight and I achieved that goal. And that's where my goalpost ended for fighting. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be a professional in this. I just wanted to accomplish a fight. And then I see the guys that wanted to go to the top level, their goalpost is way further, and they would just keep working after that. But I was like so content with that specific goal, you know. And then I kind of just veered off into my own path. But I just remember that it was like, it wasn't about being a professional. It was just getting that one MMA fight and seeing what it's all about and moving on from that.
That's sick, man.
Yeah, it was cool. It was.
But that's the thing, like with fighting too, it's like you could have the physique, but like you can't like throw a punch or like.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that with a lot of fighters, a lot of like really skinny ones, they're kind of lanky.
You gotta watch out for those ones.
Yeah, but they still have that like that swagger when they walk.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
So it's just you don't have to be like big or anything. Like
They
just,
feel big.
Yeah, because they're big on the inside. You know they know they
confidence.
could back it up.
I know exactly what you're talking. I'm sure everyone's seen it.
The fighters have a specific walk. Like I remember, if I see a fighter anywhere, I know they're a fighter just because their shoulders are kind of up. They're kind of like in this ready to grab you and throw you kind of posture. It's
They
hilarious.
get a lot of what's his name? McGregor's like a little like turned in.
It was slouched, yeah.
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 And people like point it out a lot. It's like,
They all got.
does he
that.
just want that? Is it part of his like his power when he punches or something? It seems like he could open that up and have a better posture and shit. Like
The problem is that it's the arts. Like for boxing, you pull your shoulders in. For wrestling, you pull your shoulders in. So it's like the fascia, like we speak about in a lot of podcasts, is everything's going inwards. So a lot of what fighters do now is the training is actually the opposite. It's creating more elasticity in the body because we're always like this. So if you can open up more, you're gonna have more range, more power, more. You can generate more force at a longer distance.
everyone talks GSP.
Yeah.
Like he just became a gymnast or something.
Yeah.
Even in fighting, you
true.
got variations. You got people who like have different goals almost. Like the fighting is the outcome or the skill you want to master, but like body wise, there's always a. Do you have like a common, like do a lot of your clients when you're doing PT like is the jack of all trades the most common thing for you or?
Look, a lot of people just want to look good, you know.
Exactly.
That's really like the performance is really important too. But most people, generally speaking, from what I've worked with in the past, like, they want to look better. Body transformation. They want to be more conditioned. They want to just feel better. They want to be less like sluggish.
Maybe they don't even.
They want to be stronger too. But like,
Yeah.
people want to look good, man. But the thing is like,
Beach.
yeah, like fortunately, when you're training like for more performance, like you can't separate size and strength. You know, if someone gets stronger, they're most likely going to look better. Granted that they don't like put on like, they don't get like too fat or like, you know, or like too skinny. Like this, it's all subjective anyways.
That's true.
But you know, if someone adds like, I don't know, 100 pounds to their bench, you can't be like, oh, I want to add 100 pounds to my bench, but I don't want to like look much different. Like you're gonna look a bit different.
Yeah,
So
100%.
you can't separate size and strength. So
Does anyone ever say that? You ever got someone like I need to be stronger, but I don't want to look bigger? Maybe women.
people
a lot,
say it from
like,
time to time. You know.
Yeah.
People say like, oh, I want to just. You can't. It's hard to separate. I don't think you can.
It's funny because it's.
How would you?
It's funny with that mindset sometimes because I train clients too, and they come to me. Mostly females say like I don't want to get too bulky or too big.
Oh yeah, it's the worst.
And I'm like, it's not like one day you're gonna wake up and boom, you're just like three pounds heavier everywhere. It's like you're gonna see the progression, and then you can also kind of navigate how you want to look as it goes. So it's not like they start training their arms, for example, then the next day they're just super jacked.
Bro,
you know?
that single comment.
Yeah, it's very common.
I think that's arguably the biggest misconception in fitness. If we were to just like slice it down to just one, I think it's that.
It's true.
It's that women, they think like you have guys, bro. You have guys training like 6 days, like naturals, whatever, but training 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And they barely even look like the men they want to look like.
Yeah.
And you got women who are scared to go to like the gym twice and like just lift a bit heavy 3 times a week.
I think it's strength training and lifting heavy has just been into this culture of like the photos of those guys are
Yeah.
obviously bigger, and that's what's promoted when you hear strength training. You just picture like a fucking those strongman competitions, like 350, 400
Yeah,
pound
but the
monsters,
thing is
you
too,
know?
you got a lot of like fitness, female fitness influencers who are claiming like, oh, I'm 100% natural.
That's-
So that's kind of like, it is a problem, bro, because
That's a big point, man.
Yeah.
I actually want to get into that on the podcast because the models you see in sports mags and the models that are on the top Instagram models,
Yeah.
and they're all talking about fitness and strength. Behind the scenes, they're not natural.
they're enhanced.
Yeah, and they leave that portion out of it, and that actually fucks with the collective self-esteem of everyone who's looking up to these people. And Steve Maxwell was on our podcast. He had a great point. He's like, you're looking at the 1% of the 1% in terms of fitness, and they're the
Right.
ones giving you the advice. But even them are enhanced too. So they're like the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. They're just so like genetic freaks in great shape, plus enhanced. It's like,
Right.
you know, and these are the people we use for advice because they're the most popular.
If you watch the documentary Bigger, Faster, Stronger, like they break down like the gear and use and all that, but
Did I see
a lot of
that?
these
No, I didn't
a lot of
see
these influencers, they're not actually lying. Like the supplements that they're selling you, they actually are taking them.
Yeah.
But they're taking them because they're like sponsored. They're sponsored by them, so they obviously get money.
Yeah.
But what they're leaving out is that they're taking other stuff.
Do you is that why you started the Fit World Exposed initially? Was it to kind of give like a clear lens into the path of fitness? Was that one
Well,
of
the name wasn't even my idea. It was my business partner.
yeah.
And he had a blog, and we basically met up, and I was telling him how I want to start a blog, and that came about, the Fit World Exposed site. Then we made a separate blog, Fit World blog.
But was the
But-
the general theme of Fit World Exposed that, or was it?
It wasn't to expose anybody.
No,
It wasn't. It
no.
was just. It just sounded kind of cool at the time.
Yeah,
But you know, your taste changes over time,
for sure.
and I didn't really want to run with that name anymore. I felt like I just like Fiji.coaching. You know, it sounds a bit more like appropriate for right now. It sounds a little bit more professional for me. It
Sweet.
matches my IG. It matches my email. It matches now the YouTube. Like I don't want to like mix names too much. You know, I want everything to be PG.coaching.
Nice.
And yeah, it's more simple. I like shorter names too. Like people, I remember when I first got on YouTube, I used to call myself Philip, and then I hated when people call me Phil. And I realized when people started calling me Phil, like in the comments, I started liking it, you know? So I just started running with that. So I like it when it's a bit shorter too.
It's funny because I used to. Well, my name's Nathaniel, but everyone they would call me Nate. It started at the gym, just like Mike Lee, my jiu-jitsu coach. Shout out to Mike Lee. He just saw me the first day. The guy has nicknames for everyone. He's like Nate Dog, and then everyone in the gym started calling me Nate, and that just became my identity. And now I'm kind of the opposite of you. I kind of want to bring back Nathaniel as a full name.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why. But it's just funny how things they stick. You know.
It's like the saying goes in front over pas casser la tête. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
don't
people
break
don't
your
want to
head.
think too hard, bro. They want to like
Yeah.
simple names, simple explanations.
Yeah.
People have like very short attention spans. And that's one thing I'm learning about my channel too. I'm really trying to take more complex topics and really try to simplify it more, like give it a real like visual experience, you know? Not like these talking head videos where you just see a guy talking and it's like the person clicks away after like 2 minutes or like a minute.
I'm the same way. Like I mean, I do a podcast that's long form, so I feel bad saying this, but like you sit
Podcasts
there,
are different
people
though,
are
because you could be driving and you could just be like listening to
That's
it.
true. Yeah. It's like it's not directly educational. So it's like get to the point, and then like if you want, maybe expand in another video or something. So it has that kind of flow where it's like click next
yeah.
thing.
It's more for like the
next
ride
thing.
home or like, you know,
Yeah.
where you're cooking your meals or...
Especially when it's specific, like a how-to or do something. Like if someone's looking for, like for me for cooking, like I go to this specific channel now. He does all these steaks, Guga steaks, whatever, and they're so to the point. And even when he's doing the fluff, like the promotion, like the camera angles, I just fast forward till he gets to the technical part. And I think that's important to have short, concise videos on like very specific things that you want to learn or the viewers coming to learn. But like a podcast, I can actually, I probably watch all podcasts either on YouTube or on Spotify, on iTunes. And that's like a 3 hour or 2 hour experience. I have no problem. It's like your mind is kind of in a different angle when you're listening to a podcast than when it's looking for like specific instructions.
But do you watch it or you listen to it?
If I have the time, I'll watch it. I like seeing the dynamic.
Interactions and
Yeah,
stuff,
I find I get more value out of it in terms of even entertainment. So,
Yeah.
but if I don't have the time, I just put it on like 2x speed on the phone. I moved up to 2x speed.
2x, yeah.
Yeah, you got to listen, but it goes quick, man.
That's it. You're gonna start talking faster. You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
You just hear it too quickly.
And then I put it to regular, and I'm like, why the fuck are they talking in slow motion? It takes like maybe 10 minutes to recalibrate. It's crazy.
Because a lot of people actually talk slower than they think.
Yeah. You know, and
When you're used to 2.0, like you're just everything's
quick.
like slow, like it's
Yeah.
screwed in shop. But every platform has its purpose, you know. And I feel like Instagram, it's more. I'm not like active on TikTok, at least not yet. But from what people are telling me, what I'm observing, it's very short.
oh, yeah.
Instagram's it's a little bit longer. I mean, we're like 1 minute videos, but now like you have the feature of
Yeah.
put your like YouTube videos on there too. But you know, people who are gonna go on like something like YouTube, probably not gonna watch a 1 minute video. You know, probably gonna watch like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe
Exactly.
like a podcast.
Yeah.
So
I like to think that people have a bigger attention span than what's kind of being said out in the world, because podcasts do exist and they are popular. So it's nice to see people listening for over 2 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever. You know, it's kind of nice.
yeah,
Well, you had a good point though. Like it depends on the content.
Yeah.
If I have a really short conversation, no one's ever gonna watch these again.
Yeah.
If I have a really drawn out thing and I just need to know how to do something,
That's
then
the truth,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna
Right,
rage
right.
quit. Yeah,
but
I never thought of it that
it
way.
depends though, because you say you're talking about the short attention span.
Yeah. Sorry. That's all good.
Yeah, you're talking about like the short attention span, and people have short attention spans if it's not relevant to them.
Yeah.
If I
That's
don't
true.
care, if it has nothing to do with like what I'm trying to accomplish that day, or it's not really giving me any value like short term or like right now,
Yeah.
I'm not really gonna have a long attention span for it.
That's
But
true.
if I really need to, if I really have specific questions and I need specific answers, and this podcast has what I'm looking for, I might even watch it up to 3 times.
It's true. That's a good
'Cause
point.
I'm really trying to like.
Yeah, I'll use Pat Owens as an example. Like we had a nutritionist on he's a PhD and he teaches at McGill, and I actually some of my clients that I massage, they told me they re-listened to it twice, one with a notepad the second time around, and they started taking notes like it was a class. It's kind of cool to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's it. Like if it's a that was a very specific conversation. So we just like there's so much dense information there that if you're really interested, you're gonna take notes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about like you know, what are they into? Like what's the audience looking for?
So you
Supply and demand.
you kind of have like a brand. Like when you watch your YouTube videos now, it's like very clear that it's in a specific direction. I mean, it's pretty much what you love to do already. But did that morph, or was that the same way from the start to finish, or it kind of just grew into what it is now?
Yeah, well, that's a bit of a loaded question. So
Yeah, go for it. Man.
yeah, like my videos definitely changed over time, and my brand changed over time, and my purpose changed. So it's just, and it's still changing, and I'm still learning more about like. I have a pretty good idea of where I want to take everything, but you know, every now and then, like small things, I'll make some small modifications. Sometimes I'll make bigger ones.
Yeah.
Like the name of my channel is a small one, but there's other big stuff too, and.
But I actually want to get into that. Like the name kind of explains the journey too. It was like because it started off as Silverback, right? It was
It started out Fit World Exposed.
Fit World Exposed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like the website, and the
Yeah.
blog was the Fit World blog, and the YouTube channel was Fit World Exposed. We ran with that for like a couple years, maybe like 2-3 years, and then just like maybe 2 weeks ago, I think I changed it to PG.coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, and the website coming soon will be like, will be really close to that as well.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so
But-
Fit World Exposed site's down.
Oh, it's down.
Yeah, so now I'm working on my own personal thing,
Nice.
and
But-
yeah, but like as far as the content is concerned, like. I want it to have a lot of entertainment, education, but I also want to sprinkle in some entertainment as well. So I feel like when you're too much on one side, it can get a little bit boring.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to give a little bit of both. And sometimes you could give both in the same video. You know, it could be very educational, but it's entertaining as well. So I want to make the video shorter. Like every time I post a video, the number one thing I'm thinking is how could this be better? I look at the comments. I look at the watch time. People are like looking at them. I'm looking at all the analytics and stuff, and I'm thinking like, okay, where did I mess up on? You know,
It's true.
everything.
You
I'm
can
talking. I'm
see,
looking at
like, when they stop watching and stuff. Like you can see.
yeah. I'm looking at like I'm getting like constructive criticism from my community, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Like maybe
We don't do
Could
that
be-
enough.
these small details. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes like, oh, you know, your backup music's too loud, or sometimes just like, you know what, you you're just beating around the bush too much. It's like get more straight to the point.
And then when
just
you
trial and error.
when you respond to those kind of requests and stuff, that's when you're building a stronger relationship with your audience as well.
Right.
You know, if they, let's say someone who gives you real feedback, like, hey, maybe you lower the back music, it's kind of distracting, and then you do that, it's like, oh shit, he listened to me. I'm gonna he's really out there for us as well as himself. You know.
Right.
So, listeners, please give us some feedback.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting.
It's just always trying to get better. That's what I'm all about, you know.
Oh,
But
100%.
sometimes when you're constantly trying to get better, it may not be too apparent to the audience because they don't see like the other kind of battles you're fighting. But eventually, over time, hopefully, like it'll be more apparent. But it's not like just because you're working on yourself that automatically people are gonna notice it, or even you're gonna notice it. You know, and that's why it's cool to look at like older videos that you make, just to kind of see your own progression. I look at it kind of like a photo album, you know.
Yeah.
You just kind of look back every now and then, you're like, oh wow, I was here before.
That's a good point,
Look
man.
where I am now. Who knows, man? Even show your kids, man. Who knows how long YouTube's gonna be up for? But like,
That's
you know, your kid's like 10 years old. You're
Like,
like,
hey,
you
look
know,
what
you're
daddy
40s or
did.
something. You just show your kid, like, hey, this is me when I was on YouTube.
There's gonna be like 1 million podcasts at that point.
Well, that's the thing. It'll be oversaturated, you know.
I got in early-ish.
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
later, like
But that's a fun point because
that's intense, man.
a lot of the times I go back from the first video till now, this is number 48 or whatever, and
Wow.
yeah, man, and we do clips now, so we cut segments out and we put that in like a separate little playlist, and just hearing our conversations back from like episode 10, 15, episode 6 and whatever, it's just like I see the change, but you don't even feel it when we're doing it. We're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like a photo album. That's a great way to put it. It's like, holy fuck. Oh, this is what was going on in your life back then. Oh, you're all hung up about this. And it's like, I'm here now, you know?
Right.
It's a different snapshot.
Yeah.
For sure. But I feel like we're building up to doing it more deliberately. Like you're talking about what we kind of haven't yet. Like we're enjoying just kind of winging it, but there's obviously so much we can look at and then be like, oh, this can be more well thought out. This can be this part can be shorter. This can be whatever. Like,
Right.
this needs to be louder. This needs to be softer. Like it really is these tiny things that a lot of people might not notice, and you almost don't want them to notice because it doesn't bother them. It just comes out seamlessly. But then suddenly, the runtime is more convenient. The camera angle is better. Whatever it can be, it's just more comestible, more consumable. Like more, well, you know. Catering to the audience.
You want to make the viewing
experience.
experience as good as it could be. You know?
That's it. We're doing this for them. We're doing this for us too. But like, fuck, we got people watching. We may
That's
as
it.
well give them something they want.
The way I see it, it's like
It's so obvious.
the way I
You
see it,
don't
it's
think
like a
about it.
relationship, and there's two sides to it. There's obviously what we want to put out, but then there's the influence of the audience too, and it's actually influencing every video because some videos will be bigger hits than others, and then you'll be, oh, they like this, and it kind of in the background in your psyche, it's like, okay, let's have a conversation about this because that's a kind of interesting avenue, and it's like the audience and you are kind of doing a dance together into some type of fucking content that's
Right.
both ways, you know.
Yeah. I think it's important to have fun with it too, you know?
That's
like
it.
I was looking back at my old videos and I feel like I take myself a little too seriously sometimes. It's like just like I'm trying to teach myself to just, you know, obviously in a genuine way, like, you know, smile a bit more. Like just to be more like
Yeah, because at the end of the
a bit
day,
more like, yeah,
it
it's
should
not,
be
it's not
fun
that
too.
serious, bro. It's
Yeah.
not that like it's serious, but it's not like that serious. So
Yeah, I mean,
not take yourself too seriously, you know.
humbleness is a big one, man. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
just knowing that, yeah, it's serious, but it's also in the grand scheme, it's like it's a speck of dust,
Yeah,
you know.
bro.
And when you have that in mind, it takes a weight off your shoulders a little bit. You know, less pressure on yourself. You know, still perform and still do, but also have the fun aspect come into it.
For sure, yeah. And like if you feel like it's a chore,
That's
It'll come off that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a conversation we had when we started this. Like, if it feels like work, it's just gonna lose its value, like the podcast.
yeah.
But it hasn't felt that way at all. You know, it's just been like it's like and people will resonate with that when you're having fun doing what you're doing.
Right.
They're having fun watching it.
They feed off it, yeah.
You know,
I can compare it to like the gym. For me personally, I never want to go in, but I never regret going in. You know, like you just have that resistance, but like I know I'm gonna be happy after. So if there's a time when I just didn't feel like doing it one day, you just get your foot through the door and then it starts rolling and you're like, you know what, man, I wanted to be here. You know, like you just have to remember almost or realize it. But I don't know. I guess I just I'm a particularly unmotivated human being. I am not. average. Or maybe I am. I hope not.
But why are you not motivated?
I don't know. It's been a deep question for me lately. I might just have like no dopamine in my brain. Like it might be like a real problem. But it's personally, I just feel like a lot of stuff doesn't have a point. You know, like I don't.
Right.
Maybe I'm a perfectionist as well. It's wrapped up in a lot of weird stuff. Like I think I stopped myself before starting to just avoid a lot of emotional confusion or failure feelings and then the successes don't feel that good. So I don't feel motivated. I literally don't feel like it's worth it. I have to convince myself. I got to talk myself.
Yeah, it's
into
not good. But it comes when it comes, and you can't force it.
That too, right? Waves. Like you just get the bug sometimes.
I feel like with motivation, man, it's just. I don't want to say there's a genetic factor to it, but some people really they're just driven, man. They just really want to they just want to better themselves and be like that 2.0 version. And like instead of thinking like motivation, like that word, because it's kind of vague, it's whatever.
It's tricky,
like
sure.
what keeps you up at night? Or, you know, what makes you get up before your alarm clock? You know, everybody has something that gets them like on their toes, you know, that gets them really excited. You could see it in their face, man, when they talk about it. Like,
if it's a topic, a subject, a skill set, then maybe I got a couple things that interest me, and once I start getting like informed in them and the ball rolls on its own a little bit, and then also people start giving me like, hey, you know a lot about this, that's interesting, then you're kind of feeding off of that. But the only things that really get me out of bed, or literally get me out of bed, it's like it's always very like visceral or physical. And the best, healthiest thing would be exercise itself. Like after reading that David Goggins book, I just like would jump out of bed with my shoes already on and just start running, kind of thing.
right.
And like nothing compares. Like and sometimes I don't even feel like doing that. But like I said before, like I know I never regret it. I go in my pool and I'm swimming for like 2 hours and my skin's all dry because of the chlorine and shit, and I'm dying, but I just like, I love it.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. And I wish, honestly, sometimes I don't put in effort into my workouts because I'm pissed that I can't do it like on my own terms. You know, like everyone has a schedule. Everyone's living like in society. You can't just like do what you want unless you're like fucking, you know, some kind of passive income, retired, I don't know what, you know, like you just for some reason you don't have to work, or you're not on a strict 9 to 5, you know. And it's funny that the fact that I can't do it more unmotivates me to do it when I can. Sometimes it's really fucked up. I never said that out loud. That's really weird. That's really fucked up. But you know what, man? David Goggins says it, and I'm sure you say it a lot too, to your clients or to yourself or something. Like motivation's not going to be there sometimes, and it's about consistency. You just know you're putting
discipline, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like motivation's bullshit. It's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I got to tell myself because I don't have that genetic factor, like you're saying. I guess it's like
But
you
this is
see
completely. It's completely bro science when I say that. I haven't read any studies about like.
We're not dog, but you have a lot of personal experience with this stuff, so you're seeing people who.
I feel like I have it, and I feel like I get obsessed with my stuff.
Not
I have a big chess background. When I was playing chess when I was younger, that's all I knew. And it was basketball, then it was fitness, and now I'm getting into other stuff too. But I think that's kind of my problem too. Is that as a trainer, I have to come to the realization that not everybody's like that. You know, not everybody's like that I train is just gonna be thinking about it 24/7 and just like really hooked. And some people, they train, and once they're outside the gym, they don't think about it till the next time they're in the gym. You know.
Yeah, that's how
everyone's
I am.
different.
That's how I am, man. You nailed it.
Yeah, everyone's different. So it's just.
How do you approach those people? Like, do you spend more time with them just to kind of give them like your energy a bit? Like,
Right. Well, okay. Well, so that's an interesting topic right there. So there's different kind of clients, and I like to kind of break it down into 3. You got like the low, moderate, and then the high interest ones.
Okay.
And I'm not a motivational speaker, you know?
You're just not going to take the lows kind of thing. Yeah.
Maybe I could. It depends.
Work.
But like me, like the guys I'm working with right now, or like the people I'm working with right now, or the females I'll be working with soon, like they're high interest.
They want to be there.
Or at least the ones who they sound like they're high interest. But with that being said, it doesn't really mean anything to begin with. So I can only technically refer to the people I'm working with at the moment.
You know.
Because talk is very cheap.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not that I won't work with someone who's low interest, but like I want them to already have like that.
Oh yeah, the drive.
Yeah, come on.
Like
I don't want to be like having like give them little speeches here and there like all the time, every time I'm training them. Like, and talk about, look, there's a lot of benefits to training, man. Like there's this, and like, come on, man.
I think motivation is like a flame that just ignites, and then the motivation will, once the flame is there, it can go out or it can reignite, but motivation never lasts. And it's like when you hear like a song that pumps you up, you get pumped up, but 2 minutes later the adrenaline goes down. But if you act on that pump, then you can create something and create habit to it. And then once the habit is there, then it's just momentum comes in and all these things help. But momentum is literally, the way I look at it, it's like that first spark that starts the flame. Like, because we all get motivated, we get bursts, we hear a good song, or just you see someone train hard or whatever,
Right.
you get that pump. But that fades. It's the consistency that you build on that's going to last,
Yeah.
Maybe everyone's different. Is like, they say it takes like 60 days or something to make a habit. Is there a way to like know if you've made a habit? Like if you stop, it feels like you have to do it.
I guess that's what he's talking about with tracking and numbers. It's like once you start seeing numbers, that's visual perspective of the habit you've created because it took them X amount of time to achieve.
I never thought, because I don't track often, and I'm obviously with Nick Gregoriadis there. Like he always says, whatever is measured grows, and I keep trying to repeat myself.
Whatever's
that,
measured
like,
grows. I remember
maybe that's what I need to do, because I'm not worried about the numbers like you were saying, but there's so many benefits.
Well, you should be though. You should.
I think I should.
You
be.
should be. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not. Like I never worried about, because for me, I'll do like a home workout. I'll do some body weight stuff. I'll do more sportive stuff and just work out like 2-3 times a week, and it works for me.
But you have to like.
But
If you don't track it, it gets lost. But it depends what we're talking about. If we're talking about training,
you have to.
it's a given, man. Come on, you're just gonna like try to guess.
Yeah.
Next session, like,
Unless
or the food, you're just trying to wing it. Like, if you want
calories.
very specific results, you have to do very specific things. And the more specific you are, the more like you gotta have that laser focus.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That's a very good point.
But
That's the truth.
it depends how serious you are. It depends how serious you are about your goal. How urgent are your goals? Is it like, do you need your goals hit by like 3 months, or does it have to, or is it okay if it's 3 years? And that's another thing about goal setting. I feel like even with myself that I'm trying to really work on more. It's everybody sets goals, but you never hear people say, "I have a deadline." And that's when this isn't me trying to sound all like philosophical or anything, but it's true, man.
It's a good point, man. And the problem also with goals, goals are amazing, but there was a book, The War of Art by Pressfield. And he says, like, I didn't read the book, but I hear about it all the time. And the main premise is like, let's say you have a goal. I want to bench 2 plates. I'll use fitness for example, or it could be a goal like I want to travel to Thailand, and you tell all your friends,
Right.
I'm going to go travel to Thailand, or I'm going to travel wherever. Everyone's going to, the more people you tell, they give you like the support.
Don't even get me started. Yeah.
But they give you like a support, which actually gives you the dopamine as if you completed the task. So a lot of times when you say what you're going to do, you get the reward without doing it. And then a lot of times you don't do it because you already received the reward.
Wow. Don't even get me started on that.
The social-
Ego is the enemy,
Yeah.
man. And just finished that a couple months ago. They said the exact same thing. Like when
That's it.
you have people like on Instagram, for example, and they're like, and they'll post like a photo of like their, I don't think I have these people anymore, but or if I do, whatever, I don't know where they are,
Yeah.
but I've seen in the past someone who like, they'll post their calendar for the month and like, this is what I'm doing for the month.
They're getting praised.
Every single day, there's something, there's conditioning, there's like 6-day splits or whatever. And the comment sections are flooded with, wow, like, I'm so proud of you.
But it's the future. They didn't do it yet.
They didn't do it yet. It's just written on paper.
That's amazing.
And the thing is, like, they get the gratification,
And then they don't do it.
and they're like, you know what? Like,
Or they do half of it or a quarter of it,
they do fuck all.
But that's a good point, because then let's say you are not in the field, you're just let's say that calendar was more fitness related, or was it just life goals and everything that they posted for the month?
It was more fitness
Okay,
related.
so let's say someone just starting out in fitness sees this person post this fucking photo of the whole calendar for the month, and he goes, fuck, I can't even do half of that, and this guy's gonna complete the whole thing, and he fucks off and doesn't do his goals because he got demotivated. But that person who posted it probably never even did half of that portion of what they posted.
Right.
So then, like, that's the problem I have with Instagram, is it's a lot of times it's like a front. You know, there's a lot of genuine people out there, you included, and Goggins, for example, and, you know, they're doing what they say, but there's so much bullshit that just say what they don't do. And
Well, I'm not in the same category as Goggins.
No,
man,
but the example.
In that way, you are, I guess, because you're
There's
just
lo-
doing what you're saying, what you're doing, and doing what you're saying. Like, there's no
He's
bullshit.
just
Yeah.
doing what he's saying in a larger scale, but it's the same formula. You
Yeah,
know?
he's just nuts. Like, no one's
Yeah.
Goggins.
I'm a big believer, and I've learned through like some trial and error. You just announce it when it's done.
Yeah.
Why can't you be that person who just, like, if we go back to that calendar example,
Yeah.
as opposed to posting the whole month.
Last month's calendar. You can post that.
Yeah, post like, hey, this is what I did last month. I trained
Exactly.
30 days straight.
Yeah.
As opposed to what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
That's a
the
big
way,
one, man.
And the mirror, man, because you mentioned ego before, and like it just sprung something in my head just now. Like my friend Coco, he's like a really, like an avid gym goer. Like he could probably be a personal trainer. He's like deep into it, and when he was giving a friend who was like starting to work out some tips and some very concrete, like non-philosophical, like how to work out ideas, you know, and then. And he just en passant, he just like says something like, I can't wait to look in the mirror, and like bang, you know? And he goes, don't ever do that. Like at least wait 3 months, 4 months, because the second you see results, you're going to slow down. And I was like, holy shit, he's right. Like
To a certain extent.
that's nuanced.
Some people, they
I'm that kind
they
of
feed off
person.
the energy and they want to keep digging deeper.
Oh, not me, man. I'm like, oh, I'm done. Like I look good. It's like, no, keep going.
Well,
you
it depends
idiot.
but with that being said, you know, it's like
No goal.
if you're content with that,
Yeah.
then who am I to be like, oh, well, you don't look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
depends what
still
the goals
maintain
are.
it. Like if you're gonna
Right.
take your foot off the gas, you know, and the deadline thing, that's like it. These are what motivate you for real. You know, like that feeling of motivation is fading, like you said. But to have a structured idea of what you want to accomplish and by when, you can't like escape that. And you know what's funny? Someone like, let's say someone does have like an ADHD, like lack of dopamine or something. That is gonna help them so much because now they have. Like a kind of perceived pressure. It doesn't have to be a stress in a bad way, but you're like, oh, I got a deadline. And then like maybe the last few days you missed your workout or something, and now you go harder. That's not the best way to do it.
But
like,
it's still to achieve that goal, that
that's
deadline.
it.
That
you start seeing
you
the
can-
calendar
Yeah.
shrink.
But
you know
you-
what it is though? We see that in
Yeah.
school too, man. If there's a deadline, you're gonna give in the paper that fucking day. So we're all
Right.
capable of
I am. That was that guy, and
Yeah.
not
Right.
everyone was,
but I wasn't. But I'm just putting
I
the
am.
collective we. But
I couldn't care unless it was like, oh my god, it's 4 a.m. and I'm like, I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
but then you see that example. There is a discipline factor in there. Whether you crammed the last minute or not, you still achieve the deadline. So there is value in putting a specific point on a specific day to get something done.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
like just to cut you off, like that's kind of where my mind has been at lately. Like I've been thinking about my own goals, or my clients, just people who support my stuff. Like what's kind of holding people back. And we're talking about motivation, and you always hear motivation this, motivation that. People watch these like Titanic, motivational clips, and it's like doesn't do anything.
the music in the
They
background.
just pass
and
out on the
shit.
couch after 2 minutes. So like I think that
It's true.
with where my mind is at right now, let's say for example, let's say you want to put on 5 pounds of muscle in a year, which is very doable. Like, what if you don't? What if you don't put on 5 pounds of muscle? Is it gonna kill you? There's not enough of like a fear factor. There's not enough of like a stress factor of like, if you don't hit that goal, you're still okay.
Yeah, like
So it's like, you know what?
there's no what's
Big
the
deal.
word? Yeah, there's no like risk. There's no.
Yeah, so it's like a good example, and I don't remember where this comes from, but if you're chasing a guy for $1 million, you're gonna run fast because you want $1 million. But if someone's chasing you, and if they catch you, you owe them $1 million. That second guy's gonna be running way faster
That's a good point.
because he's more scared. He has more to lose than.
Yeah, reward
So
is something, but
It's
losing
cool.
is
Yeah. So I feel like certain people were more driven by fear,
And
we're more driven by failure than success because like it's more you're in more of a defense mode when you're scared.
It's the worst memories. Like you don't want to feel that anymore. Like I was saying, like reward. Like when I get rewarded, I'm like cool, but like when I fail, that sucks forever.
Stings.
Did you just-
Yeah.
Do you hijack that mechanism and try to motivate people through like hey, you're gonna show people your results. Like you gotta fail. Like if you don't have that 5 pounds, like there has to be a like maybe
Yeah.
you go do a
Well,
bodybuilding show.
there's
or
no
something.
there's no like punchlines or things I remember. It's all every client, and that's why I work with people one-on-one. Everything I say to every client, it's all tailor-made. It's all specific
Yeah.
towards that person. So I always like to speak to my clients in their language.
Mm-hmm.
In the first session, I'm always asking like a lot of questions, and like I'm really pulling back a bit and really just understanding like what they're trying to accomplish here.
What they need. You're a facilitator. Like
Yeah.
you're listening. That's awesome.
And I try to meet them where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
So I meet them where they're at, and then I don't want to speak to them. I still stay with my language too, but I'll still try to speak in their language to a certain extent. And I think I don't think it's true when people say that you should speak to everybody the same way. I don't agree with that.
No.
If I'm at the airport, the way I'm speaking to you guys is very simple. It's tailor made. You know, like you guys give me a certain vibe, I'm giving you guys a certain vibe.
Yeah.
But if I'm at the airport and I don't know, a guy is from Hong Kong and he's like he's asking me like where his next flight is, and like he's not too good at English. I think I'm gonna be speaking to him like I'm speaking to you guys.
Yeah, you gotta
I'm most likely to cut my sentences like by like 60%.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk with my hands a bit.
That's a
I'll
sign
be
of a
like
good
you,
teacher.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to be adaptable to whoever comes your way, whatever student, whatever their perception of understanding. You kind of have to meet them there and guide them to the higher levels of understanding. And that's what makes a good teacher. That's what makes, you see that a lot in the jiu-jitsu community. There's some bad teachers out there, but like most black belts, they've went through the gauntlet. They know exactly the steps that you've been through. And I find when professionals in whatever field, when they lose that connection to talking to a person at like the base level, when they can't communicate because they're too technical and they don't know how to go back, I feel like that's a lost journey as a teacher. The best teachers that can take complex ideas and simplify it to the layman's terms so you can understand it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes the perfect teacher, because
Right.
they understand each step of the way. And as you get better and better in your craft or whatever, then they're learning the more complex ideas to that level. You see that with Neil deGrasse Tyson, for example. I don't know if you heard of him. He astrophysicist. He can take such complex ideas and dumb it down to like not a 5-year-old, but like a young teenager can listen and get inspired and really learn something. And he's talking about something like fucking parallel universes or some crazy death by black hole story, you know?
Yeah,
You can spare the details. You take a lot of the fluff out. And
That's
just,
it.
But
But
to the end, sort of, yeah.
you know, you see it sometimes like someone who you see it a lot more in academics, but they get to a level and then they talk with a language that they don't dumb down for anyone unless they're in the field. Only they'll keep it in the same field. They talk to the same way and they won't dumb it down to you. So it's kind of unfortunate in my opinion.
Well, they can't teach anymore. Maybe they can
Yeah.
still do something amazing because that's
No.
their skill set now.
Yeah.
But
they're not a teacher.
yeah, it's like any skill set you have on top of that. Maybe it's a type of person as well. Like we're talking a lot about people just kind of having a genetic predisposition. Like you have an ability to give those people that space, and it's probably from experience as well. But it's just this ability to empathize, really, just to be like my experience is something I need to distill for them right now. My raw experience is not useful for them. I can't just be like, I did this, you do this, or something like, or you talk at like your technical level of understanding, and then they're like, they have to like read a book or Google shit just to understand. Like, what's the fucking point, you know? But if you can just give them enough so they have faith, or you do inform them, but like you ask enough questions so that you know what their level of knowledge is, like it can build.
Yeah.
But I think in a lot of skills and exercise and health is one of them. You have to be able to understand enough to teach. It's just one of those things. I feel the same way with yoga. Like my brother brought me to the gym for 3 months, and I just shadowed him. Like he helped me. The guy would lift me when I was doing pull-ups because I was too weak to do pull-ups, and he didn't want me to use the machine. He goes, learn the form. Hurt yourself if you have to, but like just take a break after for a couple of days. But like he's literally lifting me, and he was like prison mentality. He's like, just you can do it. Up.
Okay.
His only motivational was go or up. Like you have no excuse, except every now and then when we're doing planks or something, he would be like, he's like 30 seconds left, and then he looks at me and goes, any man can hold for 30 seconds, and I'm like, you son of a bitch. But my point is that he is a quick guy, so he picked it up. And I mean, he had a lot of time to pick it up too, but I'm there for 3 months and he's like, how come you don't know what the next exercise is? You know, like how come you're not picking this shit up? And then I got another job and I couldn't go with him because he's in the gym 6 days a week.
Right.
Or 5 days a week. Or 6
What
days.
gym is this?
I think he was doing he was using a Kona Fitness in Laval or something. But I don't remember where he is now. He says he feels so small, the one he's at now. It's like Atlas or something. I don't remember what it's called.
Atlantis.
Atlantis? Yeah. Dude, they're jacked there apparently. And he's cut. Like he's built, but he feels small over there. But my point is I lost it all. Like he didn't distill it. He just carried me the whole time. Literally sometimes.
Right.
And as soon as he was gone, it faded away. You know, like a lot of my muscles didn't fade away, thank God, and now I can do pull-ups, and like my cardio is better than it's ever been in my life. You know, like, and it's all thanks to him. I want to take the credit, but really he just pointed and I shot.
Right.
He did a lot of the thinking and I did the doing. So it's like, personally, like when I was talking about the pool, that's not an effort to me, that's a joy. I don't have to think, and I just swim and I do laps, and I'll do 100, 200, 300 laps like a nut job. And I love that. And that's intensity. That's not the regularity that you need to really get something going, but that's how I work. And I'm afraid I'm going to hurt myself one day, but that's another topic. So that's
yeah, you don't want people to think like too hard either, you know. Like if at first when I first start working with someone personally, like there's gonna be a lot of cues, but I try to limit the cues and I try to put the exercise in a certain way where the exercise will take care of some of the cues, you know.
Yeah.
And like tackle one cue at a time. I'm not gonna be giving somebody 5 cues.
It might be just be an overload of information.
It's too much. Just like what I'll do is every session, let's say we're doing like 6 lifts for the day or 5.
Yeah.
Every lift will have like one cue, and like we'll really like hammer that home.
That's a good point. And that you see that in the martial arts community. Is like when newcomers come in to learn boxing, for example, you don't show them like every punch in the fucking repertoire. You show like 1 or 2 punches, and you do that for like a month until they get the basics, and then you start adding to it. If I showed them, or whatever instructor shows them, like the jab, cross, uppercut, and hook all in one day first session,
you're gonna break your wrist.
They're like this, like I think I'm supposed to turn my foot, and then they're at home and they're turning their foot on the wrong punch, and there's no structure. But if you like, okay, we're gonna do the jab for a week, just the jab, then they're gonna learn. And it's the same thing in fitness. It's just good information, small cues, not overwhelming, and just let the technique teach them too. You know?
Yeah.
That's part of it. Yeah.
If you lose foundation, you get hurt. I think it's the most important time when foundation is like imperative.
Foundation.
Maybe it always is there, and maybe that's why. Like we were talking about, like how it's like if you're into it, you can teach what you know, at least what you know, what you do. You can transmit that pretty easily, and maybe it's because you fucked up, you hurt yourself a few times. You really do have to do it properly, or else you're gonna. Maybe it's not obvious, and the wear and tear is like in a week or a month or something, but like sometimes you just like you snap wrong and something hurts for 3 days and you can't do the workout anymore, and like you're not going to make that mistake again. You start like it's unfortunate, but most of us, I think we know why form is important because
sometimes you have to learn the tough
hurt
way.
something.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Pain is the best teacher, man.
It's information, right? It's just rushing in.
But it's kind of like what we were saying before, how it's just from it's that fear, man, you know?
Yeah.
Then it sends a signal to your body that I don't want to go through this again. So
I never thought of using that in a positive way, like just admitting that our brains work that way, and then kind of putting some healthy fear in front of my goals.
Well, you see that in the fighting community is how they're all afraid when they go into the fight. When they're always afraid. They talk about it even after the fights. Like some of them even puke in the changing room, and then they go out and they fight. But it's all a lot about fitness, at least in that sport. It's a lot about overriding fear, because getting over past that level of fear, it's like a fucking celebration, win or lose, like you did it. But it's a lot about training for martial arts specifically is just fear management and overriding fear to a point where you're constantly setting the bar a little bit higher. How afraid you are in passing that line and going further and further, because the reward is like always fucking better, man. It's always, you know. The fear could be so level that you don't want to go to the gym. There might be like an inch of fear there, but then when you go, you feel amazing. Extrapolate that to going into an octagon to fight another guy. The fear is massive.
Even if you lose, you're like,
you fucking did it. You know, you might be upset with yourself for months or weeks to come, but you did it, and you know that accomplishment's still in there. You know, so that's a lot of it.
Time is so precious, man. It's crazy. Like, and time is gonna go by anyways. You know. So might as well have like results, and like everyone's kind of going through their own thing, but
oh man,
we've got a better situation, you know.
And
I love that. Time passes anyway. Like there was this like Cirque du Soleil girl who's like flipping around in that big metal ring, and she said something like that. It was like a kind of like mini documentary, like a cool video on YouTube, and she said, when you're like playing with this new skill, you don't remember like the thousands of hours that you put in. You just have this cool skill now, you know, and it's kind of cool for someone to say that, because it's like you don't want to do it and you're suffering, but really that time's going to pass anyway. And why not invest in something? And suddenly you wake up a year from now and you put in all that work, but you don't feel it. You just have the results. You're just in this present now going like, oh, It's amazing how like I have to get all philosophical, but we're just talking about like linear time and physics. Like it's like yes, you put in the work,
Yeah.
you get the
But
result.
it's nice to see it that way though, because
You
it,
have to
But
sometimes.
it really is, man. We're not getting any younger, you know.
you know, and it's
That's a fear. That's a big motivator.
that's a big motive. But that's the guy with $1 million you're gonna owe him chasing you, the fucking death. You
Yeah.
know that literally is the biggest motivator. You know, but it's also the biggest inhibitor, the biggest thing that will cause inhibition to do things because of that fear as well. So you can dance with the idea of death to your advantage too for a lot of things. You know.
Yeah, use it. Use
Yeah.
everything at your disposal.
Yeah, man, for sure.
You know, so
It's
pretty much it, man. Just yeah, every day, you know, you're learning new things. And you're just
Oh man, it's
crazy.
it's a good point that you said about time that's just gonna pass anyway though, because you can look at it from a year from now to a year from now, like one habit that you can just stick on, like something as small as just like strumming your guitar for 2 minutes a day. In a year, that strum is gonna be fucking beautiful, and it's only been 2 minutes per day, but it adds up to the bank. You know,
Yeah.
it's
You just gotta drill this. It's like we're beating a dead horse, but nobody fucking does it. So you gotta keep saying it.
yeah.
What are we like 40, 50 minutes in? We still got some time. Are
We
you
got some
gonna
time,
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's switch the subject. Let's talk about you, man. Let's talk about you personally, or whatever you. Do you have any things hit
Yeah,
fire?
I want to address the whole silverback thing, man. It's
Do it.
like
It's true. You mentioned before.
a lot of. I was gonna make separate videos about this, but like,
Let's get it in
might as well address it now, you know,
I love it.
because people still associate silverback with SLBK,
Okay.
and which they should because it technically is the same kind of brand.
Yeah.
But what I want to like hammer home is that it's how it evolved over time. So it started off somewhat egotistical, where it was just silverback. It's like a gorilla, it looked big. I was weighing in at like 233, so it's like I was starting off training around 140-ish. I put on close to 100 pounds, and like obviously some of it was fat too, like a good chunk of it was fat, but I had like a different look to me, and I had a different kind of walk to me, and I remember someone just said, "Fuck, you look like a gorilla in like clothes." I'm like, and I remember I said, then I started like writing my book, the program, and I didn't want like a complicated name. I just wanted like, I was thinking of different names. I'm like, you know what, silverback sounds pretty cool, you know. So I just ran with that, but it was coming more from a place of ego, which is not necessarily bad either. But it was just about like, you know, let's get fucking big, let's get a big ass back, big shoulders, big triceps, like the kind of like the muscles that kind of give you that pop to your physique. And then over time, you know, I cut some weight, stuff started happening, and I told myself, look, I don't want that to be my identity anymore. It's cool if it was my identity before, but now there's like, that's not all I represent either. So then I started, but I didn't want to run away from the name either, because I have to stand on it. I have to still own it. So I basically just took the same name, but I just changed the meaning up a bit. So the silver basically stood for second place, silver, and the back stood for background. So silverback is basically someone who, they're just the underdog. They're always hungry, but they never actually like they don't want to be. They want to be first place, but they're always putting themselves in positions and surrounding themselves with certain people where they're always second place.
Best,
Yeah, they'd rather be in that position than just be like the best in the room. You know, so that way they always have that hunger in them. Like
Okay.
it's like the whole saying of the one on top of the mountain's never as hungry as the one climbing it. So it's like this, you always have like that second place underdog attitude.
Shout out to Arnold.
He said that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know how in tune this guy was with motivation? I'm just sorry to cut you off, but quick, it adds to it. He was interviewed in like his movie Iron, whatever it was called, the
Pumping Iron or something.
Pumping Iron, yeah. And then the interview was like, but Arnold, what did he say? He's like, what does it feel like to be the wolf on top of the hill? Are you as hungry as the wolves coming up the hill? He's like, you might not be as hungry as the wolves coming up the hill. And then Arnold's like, yes, that's true. But when the wolf is hungry, the food is there. It was
Pretty much.
But like he said that on the fly, like that's how in the zone he was in, you know?
And then the back stood for background, and background is somebody who's not really noticed. They're in the background, and so that's basically what that stood for. And then over time, I told myself like we were saying at the beginning of this interview, like I like shorter names. So I'm like, you know, silverback is starting to sound a bit long for me, but I don't want to run from it either. So I'm still gonna own it. So I changed it up to like SLBK, just cut a couple letters out of it. And so I was running with SLBK. You know, I had like the clothing going on. I was selling like some shirts on like Teespring and stuff like that. And then I told myself, look, I want to take it up another notch because like I'm learning more stuff. So I want the brand to evolve as I'm evolving. Yeah. So I took those SLBK letters and without thinking too hard, I'm like, hey, what do these letters like mean to me? And within like 5 seconds, I'm like, okay, strength, it's important. Longevity, I want to be in this for a long haul. Balance, of course, and knowledge. So I basically ran with that, and that's basically where it is right now. So the brand evolved from silverback, more like, you know, egotistical, just be big, to like the whole silver second place background. Yeah. So now what it currently is SLBK, strength, longevity, balance, knowledge.
I love that.
And people call it what they want. They could still call it silverback. So what silverback really is right now, just to kind of clear it up, it's the ebook that I'm selling.
Right.
The ebook is not called SLBK. It's called silverback. Okay. And I had an unofficial copy. Now I have the official that got released a couple months back. And like shout out to everybody who's been supporting that ebook. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
Sweet.
And yeah, I hope that like clears and settles some of the dust. And I try to make it a point in every photo that I post to put my hashtags SLBK, strength, longevity, balance, knowledge. And
it worked out so well. That's such a catchy.
It did, but like it took a while for people to catch on. And hopefully, when they see this,
the transition, yeah.
Sure. But if they don't see it, it's not the end of the world either, you know.
But it's cool that it evolved with you, and like you own it, like you were saying, like you know. It wasn't bad. It was just a little more ego-driven, a little more about the look and the
right, acquiring a certain look.
That's it. And then you're like, look, that's not what I'm about anymore. Maybe a little bit still, but like, that is my past, and I'm owning it. There's no shame. There's no. I love that, man. You're like, it's momentum. You built on it. You don't have to get rid of it. And for me, I guess I overthink that kind of stuff, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta hide that. Like that was a shitty side of myself, and it's like, no, that's still in me a little bit, and there was a lot of good in that too. Yeah. But you wanted something different or something more for yourself and your content and your clients and your and your views and everything, and it just kind of slid naturally into what you wanted, and it keeps doing that. And the name changes with it, and I just like that. It's but there's nothing necessarily wrong with a little bit of ego if it's controlled ego.
Oh, for sure. It's a drive. It's a motivator and a driver for sure.
Man, like it's like who's gonna be confident for you? Like,
oh, that's so well put. Fuck, dude.
You wanna.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing wrong with having just a little bit of like, I don't want to say cockiness, but like, the confidence isn't gonna fall in your lap, man. So you gotta constantly like find ways to just are you happy in your own skin? You know, do you wake up in the morning thinking like, wow, like I feel super good right now. I like the way I feel. I like the vibe I'm giving off. I like the way I look too.
It's definitely a tool, man. But it's important not to let the ego intoxicate you, because when that happens, and you become the ego, it's like you go down this spiral, and then you're expecting like all these negative aspects of overusing the ego can come with it. But if you can check your ego and just have that hint flavor of the ego coming in to help motivate, it's good to have, man. You know,
and everyone's egotistical to a certain extent too. You know,
we're bound by it, man.
Especially with social media, bro. Like I don't care who you are. Like you're checking who's liking your stuff. Like, I don't care. I really like.
It's just part of
the game.
People
are even checking like who likes like who's looking like at their stories sometimes, you know. People go far, man. Yeah.
You know, that's just the game, you know, but making that when I say intoxicated by the ego, that becomes the driving force is, oh, he's checking, they're checking, I got to keep going for these. That's where the ego gets fed and can get stronger than the person that's trying to do what you're trying to put out. And that's where you got to kind of tone it down and keep your ego in check, whether it's through destroying yourself at the gym, because that's a great way to smash down the ego when you do like a hard workout, or like a meditation or something, just to always keep yourself in check and always self-reflect and observe what's going on. You're going back to the meanings behind what you're doing. Like now you have the 4 letters, each one has a meaning behind it. So it's like it went from just like the image to now like this abbreviation that each one is just has like a depth. So it's like
it represents like some kind of idea.
Yeah, and it's important to honor that idea and keep it about that, not about the silverback, but about the SLBK.
Yeah, and who knows, man? Maybe in a couple months or a couple years,
silverback comes back.
Who knows, man? This won't even be relevant anymore. And I'll be on like some new stuff.
Yeah.
As far as right now in time in 2020, this is what it is.
Fuck it, go with the wave,
And,
man.
yeah, of course, and create your own wave too, you know.
That's it.
Also, like regarding ego, I find that I really got some ideas from the Ego is the Enemy book, but like the world doesn't revolve around me either. And I feel like it's very easy in the lifting world for people to get in a very egotistical state. You know, you post like your selfies and stuff, and like, but the
Getting
thing
all the
is,
wrong praise.
if you're not posting those, then people are like, oh, well, you're hiding, and you want to show what you got too. And also, if you're just kind of posting these kind of photos where it's just people want to see what's going on, they want to see like that, like, hey, this guy's confident. This guy, I could be confident too. Like, so there is a little bit like it is pretty. I think it was Jeff Nippert who said this. Like it's pretty easy to disguise your vanity, like in the fitness world. Because you're like, oh, I'm just doing bodybuilding, you know, and then it's just like you're on stage and like everyone's looking at you.
It's
So
right there,
It's
like
controlled,
it's
yeah.
the point
It has to be
almost, yeah.
controlled, you know. But
You can look like you're motivating others, but it's like, look at me. You, like, there's a lot of hiding you
yeah,
can do with
but you also want to show people like okay, you got the results are there. So it's a very like gray area. But
It's hard to
you're
detach.
showing your body off.
Yeah,
That's
it's hard to
your art.
detach the ego to it because it's addressing the body, you know?
yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. It's like you're putting your body on display, but you also got to keep the ego in check.
Exactly.
That's the
Took the words out of my mouth.
yeah,
man.
that's a tough field, man.
That is that's a trap, man. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're like, look at the work that paid off. You're showing your abs or you're showing your shoulders or
Yeah.
something, but it is literally you're like, yo, look at me, bro. And it's like
Yeah.
there's a thin line.
Yeah, but I've come to the acceptance that there's a bit of both, you know.
That's it. That's
Because
that's
a part of me,
vibe
man,
you
as
got,
vain as or whatever as it sounds, like a part of me does want to show, hey, like I started off here, and look at me here, but I also want to show people like that I'm just an example,
Yeah.
and you can learn from a lot of my past experiences. So that way, if you like it, if you like these kind of transformations that I'm showing you, hopefully I can get you to have somewhat of a similar transformation or to become like a better version of yourself
Yeah, yeah.
with at a faster rate because I've been through a lot of this stuff.
That's it. Yeah, you want to
yeah,
save
just-
people the lumps.
Yeah, and they're still gonna have to go through their own things, but they'll be able to learn from a lot of what I went through. Hopefully,
Well, it's because you've set the pay, like you've done the work, you went through the path, so you kind of have a map, a direction to go that you can kind of share. They're gonna still do their
Right.
own way, but at least you have some wisdom that maybe they don't do a couple U-turns that you can help them avoid.
right,
you
right,
know?
right.
Especially beginners.
Yeah, but that's a big thing in individual sports is that because you'll see this in the bodybuilding example, but fighters another example, and any sport where it's just you and the spotlight's on you, it's important to really check the ego. Because you hear it all the time, fighters who retire in their 40s, they're done. They've said in interviews before they've lost their identity. They don't know who they are because that's all they knew was fighting. And that's what they were validated on was their performance in fighting, you know?
Yeah.
So it's important, like, to have that ego, do your task, but keep it in the put it in the passenger seat every now and then, you know?
Yeah.
Don't let it drive too
The world doesn't revolve around you, you know.
Yeah.
You have a big impact in the world. And I read this word quote the other day called, it said universe, and it had the word you in it. And it's true, man, because like everybody does have an impact.
That's a good
Even
point,
if you
man.
don't want to be like a role model, you still are a role model because people are watching. Unless you're like some hermit, no one knows you exist. But like
Even then,
man, even then, you're still a role model. So it's like, and speaking of the role model, like I have so many videos in the vault, so many videos I want to like release and stuff. But like a little spoiler of one that I'm currently working on is leading by example. And I think it's so important, man, because a lot of people, I don't want to like talk about vegans or anything, but like I've met vegans before, and I have nothing against vegans, and they get like a lot of my respect. But I've met certain ones who they're trying to kind of convert me into becoming a vegan. And like, if I have questions, I'll ask you. And if you have some information, like feel free to tell me.
Not even just convince you, but try to shame you too.
Right, yeah.
Use that into it too.
It's like, okay, I'm not doing all this. Wow, like I guess that's make me a bad person, whatever. But there's a difference between convincing and converting. So some people are trying to like straight up convert you, and I could take that same thing and bring it to fitness. I see a lot of people who they train, like they got this body going on, and then maybe they'll see like people from high school or something, and the person's like, oh wow, like, you know, you look good from high school, like from the high school days, and the other person will be like, yeah, well, there's so many benefits to training, man. Like there's this. I don't like that approach. The approach I like better, like if we're talking about the approach and like trying to get the person to like start training, I like the approach better of leading by example, because if we're talking about motivation, which we were just talking about before, some of the biggest motivation I've ever got in my life was from people who were leading by example. They didn't tell me, Phil, like, start training. I just saw their bodies, man. I saw the way they carried themselves. I saw the swagger and the confidence. I'm like, wow, like, I want that kind of presence.
You know what it is?
They didn't even have to say anything.
It's like a magnetic thing. Something inside you wants that. You start getting exposed to it, and then you, like you said, you go and ask the questions.
That's it.
Instead of someone like, for me personally as well, I'm sure a lot of people are like this, but like, if you come in and tell me I got to do this, I got to do that, I'm like, bro, fuck you. Like,
It almost gives you more resistance not to do it.
Exactly.
You know, at least for
Definitely,
me,
yeah.
my personality, someone comes and preaches this thing that I turn
just
it
a
off.
stubborn
And it
son
might
of a
actually
bitch.
be good for me, but the approach started, fucked me up, and now I don't want to listen. And
you
it-
want to feel like you have sovereignty. And if
Yeah.
someone just comes in and shines in whatever way, lead by example,
Right.
fuck, man, you just like,
And that's-
they don't have to deal with bullshit because they're
Yeah.
going to call the right people in. Like, what if you convince somebody, but they needed you to convince them?
It's not
Now
it's
they're
not
half
the
in, yeah.
foundation's not the same because it starts with telling someone or them asking you. And when they ask you, it's because they're actually inspired by what you're doing or what's happening in your body or when your mind or your life.
Exactly.
And when they ask, that's where you open the door and you show them, hey, I've been doing this. See if it works for you.
Or
But
they're genuinely curious.
Yeah.
And you're just the closest expert. You know?
Yeah.
curious chimps.
I may have done something like that in the past where it's like I'm trying to like kind of convince someone, and
We've
Nah.
all been
We've all-
there.
it's so much better, man, when you're just like, you know, just I'm just posting my stuff on YouTube, posting my stuff on the gram, whatever, and
The questions come to you.
whoever comes, you know, and like whoever's looking at my stories, whatever, maybe it'll come in the future.
But it's there
If they never
anyway.
come, cool. But like I'm just kind of like minding my own business and posting what I have to post,
Yeah.
what I want to share with the world, and feel free to ask me. I'll put that in there. I'll write. Feel free to ask me anything, like in the DMs.
The thing that's when you spoke about vegans is I think that's what kind of screws the whole movement and the vegan movement and they're what they're putting out in the world is that there's so many of those vegans that are just shaming people. They're telling them, hey man, like you're killing out. They're putting this huge amount of weight of shame on you. And for most people, they want sovereignty. They want the choice. They don't want to be slammed with this fucking you have to do this, and this.
Right.
And when that happens, like the message may have been pure at some point, but now it's like tainted by ego and us versus them kind of mentality.
Yeah, but I was just using. I'm
It's
not
a
like
good one, man.
I was just using them. But
Yeah.
it could be referred to anybody.
It could be referred to anyone. That's
religion,
just
you know,
the one I
people-
have beef with right now.
Yeah,
I don't have beef with anyone, to be honest, but like
If
it's
you
not
would. If you
it's just
wouldn't
not,
be vegan.
it's not an effective approach to sharing knowledge because it's coming from a place of authority and ego, and when that comes, you're going to hit walls and egos of everyone that you're approaching. You know,
Yeah.
when you say this is the way it's going to do, this is the way you should do this kind of training, or this is the way you should eat, that you're hitting someone else. So you go, fuck you, I don't want to do it this way. I'm doing it my way. You know, it's ego battling ego.
Phil said, like, I'm doing my own thing. I love that you're like, that's such a positive energy. If someone is coming at you like with shame and guilt, that's because that's what they're working with. You know, their motivation, if it works, then cool. And if they feel healthier and they can still like maintain muscle mass and they're doing proper supplementation and all the funny things that come with veganism, like then you know, good for you. But if you're doing it because you think you shouldn't eat animals and you want to, and you're just pushing down, like you feel like you're shitty, you know, and then you're like, no, you're eating meat, you're shitty. Don't you know that makes you shitty? And like you just come at it with that energy where it's like, you know, if there's like this skinny yoga dude who can like hold a handstand with one hand.
I love how yoga is intertwined. The
It
yoga
is. It really is.
It is.
But someone's gonna be like, "What's your fucking secret?" And it's like,
That's-
"Well, diet, exercise." Like you,
And then they come with the
to you.
notepad and they
Yeah.
take notes.
then they come with the notepad, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the people you want to. That's how you want to inspire, and that's the only, in my mind, probably most people will agree with me. That's the only effective way to create change is by leading by example. But
Yeah.
that is the hardest thing to do for a lot of people because they have this image that they're portraying, but they're not actually leading by example. So it's like a false image, and there's like a story. I heard it in a meditation retreat I went to, and it's such a valuable little story, and it illustrates what we're talking about in a nicely packed little anecdote. But it's like someone approached the family and went to the husband's like, "Oh, how's your wife? How's your kids? How's everything?" And the guy's like, "Oh, everything's perfect. My wife, everyone's great, but if my wife can change one thing, it would be the best life. Just one thing." Then he goes to the wife, asks the wife, "How's their husband? How's the kids?" "Oh, everyone's perfect. If my daughter changed one thing, my life would be perfect." And then it goes to the brother. How's your sister? How's your mom, dad? If my dad changed one thing, it'd be perfect. So everyone wanted everyone to change one thing, but no one said if I change one thing about myself, it would be perfect. So that's like the kind of mindset we have. A lot of people have is just they need to change, they need to do this, they need to do this, and then they're missing the point about leading by example, fixing what I need to fix.
Of course.
You know, and when you do that, that whole family dynamics would be perfect. But everyone's pointing at everyone's flaws.
Yeah.
You know.
You have to check yourself first. You know?
Yeah, man, and that goes big because then it happens is that group that doesn't check themselves are pointing at all the other groups, but they didn't check themselves. You know.
Yeah.
And it's a
That's why
collective
I like David
ego.
Goggins because he's like he motivates you, but then he goes fuck motivation also. Like you do have to do that change thing. He diffuses that. He'll give you that boost, but he's coming from a place where he's like, he's so shining, he's so leading by example that he knows he's going to motivate you. He's going to give you that extra thing. But he's also there to give you that, like, if you're real, if you're going to do the work, I'm going to stay here and answer your questions. There's both sides, and he talks about it. So a few extra people stay because it's like, oh, I'm that kind of person. Yeah. I'm going to run on the motivation. And he's like, he just goes, don't. It's gonna go. It's like the meditation retreat where they let you know what the speed bumps you're gonna hit. So when you hit them, you're less surprised. And that's just a speed bump for a lot of people. A lot of people need that direct help. They need someone to come in and influence them and motivate them and blah blah blah. But it is not gonna last.
That's the point.
It's not gonna last.
Yeah,
it's gonna fade. Sometimes. It can last. It can stick for a while, and then you think you've got it, and then when it's taken away from you, that if it's a person that you stop listening to or whatever, then that it fades away.
Yeah.
Because while that's happening, you need to create the discipline that coincides with that motivation. So it's like you're doing it, you're motivated.
While you have the help.
Yeah, while you have the help. At the same time, you're going in that direction, you're building the bridge that's going to support you when that direction hits the end, and you continue on with everything you attained.
I love your...
Fucking use the hands everywhere, man.
You're flighted.
Well, my coach, shout out to Connor Harris, shout out to Rich Daw. These are like, that was my previous coach, but...
Nice.
I have a lot of shout outs to give, but shout out to those two guys. Connor introduced me to a concept I really like called the 5 whys. So when you talk about why you want to do something, let's say you talk about the gym, right? You want to lift weights to get more muscular, like to keep it like plain like that. Why do you want to get more muscular? Start getting deeper into it.
Oh, I see. Cool.
Maybe, for example, low self-esteem or something. Okay, well, why do you have low self-esteem? Oh, well, maybe, you know what I mean? You can start really digging. And sometimes you could go even deeper than the 5 whys.
I love that.
And I feel like it's also important to know, like, why are you trying to hit certain goals? Is it even that important to begin with? Or do you think, sometimes you think you need it, but you actually don't. But then when you start really digging deeper into the whys, then you're like, okay, you start getting a deeper understanding. Like you're getting like, you're peeling like the layers of the onion.
Yeah.
And then once you get to that why, and like the deepest why, and you find it, you get to the root of it, and then and if it actually is a very strong why, and you're like, wow, like I want to proceed with this. Then it goes on to the next thing, which is like if your why is stronger than your how, then it's just like it's gonna overweigh it.
Yeah, I heard. I forgot where I heard that, but it's like if you got a solid why, then how doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't matter. No, it's a matter of time.
You just figure
you're gonna get it. Like
because if you want the how to look a certain way, then you might not get your why. That's the the way there. It's like you're throwing like you know where you want to end up. You have no idea how you're gonna get there. So if you're trying to force a way to get there, you might not get there. It's dangerous. So you gotta just like give up on the how.
It's almost like the how is like setting you up for failure in certain ways, because it should be automatic. Like I'm gonna get it done regardless. I don't care how I have to do it. I mean, in many cases,
Any successful person has said that, man. I definitely
forget the how. Like it's gonna get done.
Even Tom Segura in his special, he said it in his special. He's like, I'm totally serious now. I'm not joking. Like he just kind of ended it this way, and he goes, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and I became a stand-up comedian because that's all I thought about was I'm gonna become this. That's his why, and he said the how didn't matter. There was a lot of parts he probably hated, but he's like, this is where I know I want to end up. Right. He did that work probably, like those whys. The 5 why, I love that. Like asking why in depth. Maybe 5 is like a good number because you don't want to go stupid deep for nothing either. But like it's like shadow work. It's like looking at your real motivation. Because sometimes you're just like, I want to get big because like I feel like shit because like my this person made fun of me when I was younger. And it's like, you don't want to be made fun of. You don't want to feel small. You don't actually have the motivation to be big. Like you even pointed that out. You know, like that last why. If it's a good why, then you're set.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
There's honesty involved. Like
Yeah.
you just got to go. Oh, you know what? I actually don't want this to.
Yeah.
And then that's why you might realize why you never get like further than a certain point.
And keep in mind, like maybe you only reach 5 whys, but maybe a year from now you might be at 10 because now you start like expanding your mind a bit.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I'm not recommending this to everybody because it's not a fun place. It's not a fun it's not a fun exercise to do, to take out a paper and really start like it's very personal.
It's work,
you know?
yeah.
It's very like it's very uncomfortable. It's a lot easier to be like, I want to go to the gym just to get muscular and that's it.
Yeah, you might hit some nerves, like 2 or 3
Right.
whys down. You might be like,
Every
I
now
say-
and then though, I'll give it to a client or two. Tell them, hey, try out this exercise. Just have fun with it.
it's something. I think I could benefit from that. I think I've even done
Yeah,
it.
we all
before,
could. We all
but,
could.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like in every avenue, and like for me personally, workout. Like, I never went past like a second or third why. Like I just want to be a ninja. It just feels good. Maybe that's enough. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know much about ninjas, man, but if you want to do that, then
That's
your
it. I
why
wanna
is strong
flip.
enough.
I want to climb. My why really is that I was kind of like that when I was younger, and then I built into doing like a bit of parkour and like getting into like flips and shit. And man,
Yeah, I could see you in that, man.
I
Looks sick.
got
Yeah.
that Spider-Man body a little bit.
Yeah.
But dude, it was motivating. Like it was. You ever do anything and like time slows down?
That's the flow state.
Yeah, I never got it for anything other than that.
Hmm.
I mean, like maybe like video games and stuff, but like literally time slows down. And I would do it so often that I could just slow down time when I wanted to. I could probably like make adrenaline pump.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how like pseudo or how like placebo that is, but dude, that's my why is like
According
it
to
just
Wim
got
Hof,
me
you can
out
do
of my
that.
body or into
Wim
my
Hof.
body.
Wim Hof, you can control your adrenaline.
I remember I saw that video of you on IG where you're like throwing snow at you.
Oh yeah, man.
You're getting thrown snow at you.
Every winter I'll do it. I'm gonna do this one too.
We got to do like,
Like
that
shirtless,
spa or
just
something.
like-
Yeah.
We'll do an outside podcast, shirtless
Can we please do that?
Yeah,
That's
fuck
actually a great idea.
with Pat Owen.
Oh man.
Pat Owen, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get him
It's
back.
the guy
on.
from Montreal, right?
yeah. He's the guy. He was on our show about the carnivore diet. The
True.
nutritionist.
Yeah, I think I met him once. Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
you went to that seminar.
The rich
Yeah,
saw. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I came in
Yeah, it's
contact.
Pat
with
Owen, right. Dr. Pat.
Dr. Pat Owen. Yeah, that
Right,
guy's
yeah.
phenomenal, man.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Well, he had when he gave his presentation, he was talking about like some interesting points. He mentioned the dopamine fast. Like, I like
yeah,
that.
man. A lot of what he talks about, because I sent him a few clients, even that
I'm
I
gonna
trained
call
to
him
him.
too.
Yeah, incredible. And if anyone's listening, if you use, I think it's Chimps or Curious Chimps on his website, you get 10% off. So it's kind of chill.
Yeah, we got to remember what that is exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to put in the link because I'm terrible with that stuff. But I think it's just codenamed Chimps, but I'm going to put a link. But yeah, he talks a lot about dopamine and about just retraining your mind to
Right,
not
right.
crave dopamine, because a lot of times we're dopamine based, so we're doing things that make you feel good, and it's quick.
Right,
it's quick.
right,
It's
right.
quick. Whether you're eating like a cheeseburger that's fast paced, that you feel good right after it.
You don't
but
have to cook it.
You don't have to
There's
cook it.
a
You-
reward without
yeah.
effort.
Your
It's
phone
dangerous.
notifications, the dings give you a reward. Everything you do, everything in this world is based off of that reward system, off the dopamine. So fasting from that is going to create those longer, because you're going to have to do things that create a longer buffer from doing till you get the reward. Takes a lot longer, but it's reprogramming the mind.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, because we're all guilty of it, man. It's
Well, that's what I
know?
do. Like, I never put my notifications on for like my apps.
Oh, smart.
So what I personally do
it's a good thing to do. I
is
should
I'll
do
like
that.
I'll download my Instagram for the day, and people probably notice this, that my stories are really like back to back to back, but I'm not doing it back to back. I'm not in the gym 1 second. I'm at like Fitness Depot and like, you know what I mean? It's
them
shot.
saved,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then I'll basically go on IG, maybe send like a couple DMs, answer a couple DMs too, look through a little bit, just like support other people and like give a little feedback, whatever. But I try to really cap it off like 20 minutes, like post my stories, make my Instagram post for the day, and I delete the app. I'm done it for the day. I try, like every now and then I might go back on like a second time,
Yeah.
but generally speaking, like I will delete the app.
Nice.
Do you like if you didn't, would you be like wasting time on it kind of?
Of course, yeah, definitely, yeah, because it's so easy to, it's just
really
one click away.
It fucks with the monkey brain, the quick rewards.
Yeah,
you know.
it.
And
But also, like even if you delete the app, it's still pretty easy to re-download it and
Oh,
just
yeah.
go back on. But like you want to,
A few gates helps though, because you have that extra second to be like, wait, what am I doing here?
What am I
It creates a
doing here?
processing moment where do I really want you need to use this? Okay, forget it. You know, there's that second instead of just clicking it, opening it, and going. You have to download the app. There's like that gate that you're saying. It's
My friend Jay, Nick, that we were talking about also, a lot of people, they give themselves like a designated time.
Right.
Like they just know they're gonna waste time. They have better shit to do, and they go, okay, like I'm taking a shit in the morning, and that's the only time I go on Facebook or something like that. Or it's like, okay, I like my business has to do a lot with social media, so I'm gonna every day, you know, I wake up, I have breakfast, and then an hour I do it, and then you turn it off like rest of the day or delete the app. I started doing that. A lot of people say that it's like a good trick, and I was like, yeah, I don't lose anything. Everything's in the cloud. I could just download that shit up again whenever I need it. What am I doing? I just start deleting apps. I start making room on my phone. Anyway, that's another.
But apparently the algorithms don't like when you do that.
Fuck the algorithms. It's
Of course,
supposed to work for me, bitch.
No, of course. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Those cunts.
No, I agree.
They know
for
too
sure.
much. You know what I hate? Okay, just
Because
sidebar.
what Instagram wants is for you to just spend like your whole day on the apps.
Yeah,
like
they want your
They
attention.
want you to like really like. That's how you. I realize the times when I get the most like engagement are the times where I'm literally glued to my phone.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm really liking a lot of people's
rolling.
stuff, the stuff that I actually like, and I don't like it just to like it, but when I'm really like, you know, I get a lot more engagement when I answer comments quick, when I answer my DMs quick, and I'm. This is just purely speculation and certain things that I've heard. I don't know if this is official or not, but apparently, when you're like that, when you're more robotic and you answer the things faster and you answer the DMs faster, and you
makes
just,
sense. They're gonna put you ahead of the list.
There's
as
gotta
opposed
be
to a
something
guy like me who, you know, I'm 20 minutes on and then I'm delete for 24 hours.
So you gotta either automate it, or once you have a bigger team, you can hire people to do that.
Pretty
You know,
much.
that's the goal for everyone. But that's an unfortunate truth. But I think that is the case, because I do see people are just always commenting, always responding to every comment. I see people with like 100 comments, and there's 200 comments after because they respond to each comment. But Instagram probably loves them for that, you know.
Yeah, it's the same thing with other apps too, you know.
Yeah.
I can't do it. There's that little thing. There's that thing in Facebook where it says like this person responds usually like on average like 4 hours after, and I'm like, fuck, bro. Like, is that important? Like, are people looking? Because I know I go on other sites and they're like responds immediately. Like it's like a badge of honor where it's like on average responds like within 5 minutes, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Like I love you guys, but like you're gonna wait. I'm sorry. Nothing we're talking about here is pressing. I don't know what the fuck you guys are waiting for.
But the
but
way I
still
think of
send-
it is like if it's really that urgent, then you could text me, and if you don't happen to have my number, then how urgent could it really be? Because if you don't have my number, you probably don't know me like that well.
Yeah.
That's it. I can't
Clients
rush
they have
and
my
help
numbers, you
kind
know.
of-
But like if you're just, I'll get back to you, but not like it doesn't have to be like, you know.
Well, you're not. There's
That's
no
it.
gun to your head.
I could look
either.
at
It's,
your like your pull up form like tomorrow. You know, it's not the end of the world if I don't answer in the next like 2 hours.
And I think that's
That's it.
important too for the
Gotta have
relationship with people that your audience is this wait, this expecting an answer right away. Maybe that needs to be toned down from all of us. You know, we all want the instant, and it could be as simple as sending you a question and being upset I had to wait 2 days to get it. You know, maybe it's
Yeah.
fine to wait the 2 days. You know,
There's nothing wrong with that.
that's about reprogramming that dopamine mechanism.
You know what's scary too is that people are less preemptive because everything is so instant. So someone might be like, "Hey, I'm curious about this," and then they're gonna instantly send you something because they're thinking this guy might not answer me in a couple of days, and I need this answer soon. Whereas someone just like suddenly needs something, and then they answer you, and they message you, and then you don't answer back, and they're like, "Oh, I need this now." Like you're living in a way where things need to come to you fast. You're not thinking ahead anymore. That's kind of a problem for me. Like
Yeah.
what you were saying before about the dopamine fast and everything with Pat Owen. Like a lot of people just have ADHD symptoms. Like they might not necessarily have some atypical neurology. They're just so used to it. And a day, a week, a month of living differently can really set you back up to chilling out, you know?
Just
Like,
reprogramming.
That's what
Reprogramming.
Pat was saying. He was saying like try to have 1 day a week where
shut it all
you
off.
just cut the dopamine out. You know,
I like that. I need to
that's
choose
your
a
phone
day.
on airplane mode on a Sunday or something. Or like
It's a good point.
leave your phone at home.
You know,
You know, cut out certain apps. Just like
give yourself that moment.
yeah,
You
and
know?
that honestly, like man, like I feel like I'm really open with music. I listen to so many different kind of genres. Like I listen to metal. I listen like to rap, dance hall. Like there's a bunch of stuff. And lately, man, like the last couple weeks, man, I've been listening to absolutely nothing. Just like if I'm with someone, yeah, I'll play something. But like I'm talking about when I'm just alone, I'm in my room, I'm just
Be
like
in the
you know,
silence.
going to work, coming back.
Yeah.
Like I'm just. I toned it. I really limited it a lot more, and like, I feel like it's done wonders for me too, man. Because a lot of people, like, speaking of this whole dopamine fast, they always want to be stimulated by something,
Yeah.
which I could understand because people don't want to feel like I guess some people feel lonely, so they want to be like accompanied by something, even if it's just like a fan in their room. Like, that's just like going, you know.
You're so right.
I think it's important to just tone it down.
But
and
you
just-
can do that, the 5 whys for that too. You know, why do
exactly, yeah,
why
definitely.
why can't I be alone in silence? Okay, well, I'm feeling lonely. Why are you feeling lonely? And you can just do that it's like I can look at that as a meditation almost. You can do that for everything in your life. And then you might find the answer it could be as simple as just being afraid of being alone and then just building that strength and enjoying it, you know?
But some people just aren't they aren't happy with their own company, and then they
and
feel
then find out why. You can go there,
right.
you know?
They're the
But they
people
just
who
don't like
need
their
to
own
s-
company. They don't like to be alone, you know? Like yesterday I was training, I had no music, man. It just me and like the weights, man. And just super quiet, feels great.
I feel like I can concentrate more.
No
on my
fan.
phone. No fan.
No podcasts on, no
nothing.
like maybe I even turned like the air humidifier off, you know, just like everything just like
Silence.
Really silent. Yeah.
One of my favorite clients for massage is when not one of my favorite, but like one of the moments in massage when I really enjoy it is when the client says, "Oh, yeah, no music is good," and it's just silent.
yeah.
And fuck, I don't know why. Like you get a little moment of fear, but then you go into it. It's just like it's just this beautiful flow because you're just in it without any stimulus. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
well, I
different.
went hiking the other day, and actually, no, I wasn't even hiking. It was. I remember somebody told me the other day, like, "Wow, like you really know how to bank on those quiet moments." And I didn't say anything. I'm trying to bank on them, but it's true, man. Like, it's the need to always say something, like give your opinion on everything. It just,
Let it be. Let it go. Experience it.
I have a lot of friends like that. It's
But I'm
funny
trying
'cause
to
I
teach
have a
myself that
podcast.
too, you know, just to
It's a work.
say less. Just only speak when it's like really like when you really have something to say, not just like just for nothing.
Creates more value for the words that you use and the impact they'll actually have.
Mhm.
You know, if you're just going, it's just it doesn't lose value, but it's just the intention behind it is not as pure as if you take your moment of silence and then you respond with a real response, not just an impulse. You know,
I think it does lose value. I think people
Yeah.
might respond slower or faster. I think if I take like my time to answer, it'll be more honest and more thought out. But I do have the ability to just kind of turn my brain off and my mouth moves.
I agree 100%.
It's
for
a skill.
It loses
It's a
value
gift.
for sure, man.
Yeah.
Because then it gets lost in the noise. It's too much.
it's just fluff. It's
It
just
becomes the noise. Your
Yeah.
brain literally, it's like, dude, your
Yeah.
voice, like my brain doesn't register your voice anymore. You've just been going on. If
Yeah.
you say nothing, if you're the quiet guy in the corner who suddenly goes like, wait, what about this? Maybe because we're all fucking ADD around the world now, like it's not going to pick up right away. But if you never say anything, people are going to be like holding their breath when you talk eventually. Like you're gonna command the room.
It's interesting.
And that's way better.
Silence
you gotta
is powerful.
have patience. You gotta chill in yourself, like you're saying. Like you gotta kind of be okay with your own company. And I have a lot of friends. I love them. They're very smart and they've helped me in so many ways. But sometimes they don't shut up. And I fucking my life is talking. I need quiet sometimes.
Yeah,
And it's
Silence,
like-
silence is loud. Like
silence is very
It
loud,
is,
man.
man.
You know,
I have friends. They ask me a question, and then I say I stop and think, and then they keep talking. And I'm like, excuse me, did you ask me a fucking question?
sometimes though that silence just is like a canvas for them to just paint on. Might just be enough, and there was no answer actually necessary. It was just let them just go on. You know,
That's a good point. That's my ego.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just expecting like, hey, you asked me a question, like it's my turn to talk, and
No.
it's like, well, you obviously have
Yeah.
more to say. Like maybe I
silence is the
should-
loudest answer, man.
it is, man.
It
and we
is.
talked
It's
to
nerve-wracking.
We had a guy on the podcast, Samuel Finn, and he spoke about using silence to his advantage in interviews and job in negotiations in deals, where he would just be silent with whoever he's doing business with, and then they get uncomfortable. They start talking more, and that reveals way more than if he just started talking and doing it. Then they would never got to that level of uncomfort. So just silence can really bring up a lot of stuff.
You guys want to just stare at each other for the last like minute?
All right, well let's end on that then. Let's
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Stay curious.
Yes.
Stay curious. That's your thing.
Yeah, we like saying
You
this.
stole it. Well, it's yours
Take
anyway.
it, bro. Stay silent.
Oh, stay silent. That's today's.
Fucking
Phil, that was awesome,
Yeah, I
brother.
really appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Yeah, man.
dude, it was fun. It was cool.
I would love to have you back anytime something's going on in your in your journey in life.
Yeah, especially on a rainy day like today, man.
Yeah.
That's
true,
true, man.
It went cold to like it went like t-shirt and shorts to like hoodies like
Yeah.
overnight, man.
Yeah.
The cold showers feel real now.
The cold
It's
shower.
coming. It's coming.
Oh, you guys are on that. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I hit more than me. I got to get back on it, but
Well, I just started again.
Okay.
Because like I hit the cold during the summer, and
it's not the same experience.
I didn't care. Now I go in my pool. It's like 73,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, "Fuck you, cold." Wim Hof, Wim Hof.
All right, brother.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Come
Everybody who wants to find me, you can find me at pg.coaching on Instagram
Oh yeah, we forgot to give you the fucking.
and pg.coaching YouTube channel.
Check him out. Subscribe.
His shit's legit. I checked a lot of it out before you got here. I liked it. I liked it
It's
a lot.
not shit, but it's legit, man.
It's not shit, but it's legit.
Words, man. They mean a lot. All
I
right.
talk too fast. I talk too fast for my own good.